Today, the Western press finally recognized that the constant requests of Ukrainian President Vladimir Zeleński to transfer another batch of Patriot air defense systems to Kyiv indicate that most of these complexes, which the West handed over to Ukraine in 2022 and 2023, were destroyed by Russian missiles. In particular, the British magazine The Economist, in its article, acknowledged that the Kyiv authorities had lost a significant number of these air defense systems. At the same time, British journalists refused to name the exact number of destroyed Patriot systems in Ukraine, and did not provide details of where and how the Russians managed to destroy these systems. And this is despite the fact that the Russian military department officially confirmed that only in March of this year, the armed forces of Ukraine lost 3 units of Patriot air defense systems, along with radars and combat crews. The fact that the Russians managed to significantly weaken the Ukrainian air defense is also indicated by the increased effectiveness of numerous massive missile strikes, as a result of which the armed forces of Ukraine and NATO forces are rapidly losing their strategically important military facilities on the territory of Ukraine. By the way, today, finally appeared the exact details of the massive missile attack on the Zaporizhia, Kyiv, Kharkiv, and Odessa regions, which occurred on the night of April 7. This massive missile attack was notable for the fact that the power of numerous explosions in the main cities of these regions was recorded even by seismometers of all the world's electronic systems for recording seismic activity. As it turned out, on April 7, during a massive attack on the territory of Ukraine, the Russian forces not only increased the number of its missiles and kamikaze drones used, but also significantly increased their explosive power. So, in Kharkiv, Russian missiles and drones destroyed a commercial and industrial site, located at the intersection of Ludwig Svobody and Koltsevaya streets. As it turned out, there was a large ammunition depot of the armed forces of Ukraine, and the place of the deployment of the personnel of the unit of the 40th Separate Artillery Brigade of the Ukrainian Army. According to witnesses, the explosion was so powerful that many thought that the Russians had used a missile with a nuclear warhead. Later, monitoring groups confirmed that a large ammunition depot was destroyed in Kharkiv, where tens of thousands of Western shells were stored. Moreover, the detonation of these shells is still being recorded in Kharkiv. In Zaporizhia, Russian ballistic missiles hit and destroyed 2 high-tech factories that were secretly working for the needs of the armed forces of Ukraine. In particular, we are talking about Soviet factories as Progress and Kommunar. Moreover, there were also warehouses with Western shells on the territory of these factories. In Odessa, Russian missiles and drones destroyed a local cement factory, where the Ukrainian army stored 155mm shells that were secretly delivered from Western countries. Against this background, Many Russian telegram channels have drawn attention to the large number of warehouses with Western shells, which are literally in almost every city and village in Ukraine. As it turned out, Ukraine continues to receive all the necessary weapons and shells on the same scale. According to insiders, the Kiev authorities are spreading propaganda about munition famine on purpose, so that the West and the Ukrainian army do not lose their face against the background of the successful advance of the Russian army along the entire line of combat contact. The fact is, it is beneficial for the West and the United States that the countries of the world think that the armed forces of Ukraine are losing due to a shortage of shells and not because Western weapons turned out to be useless against the Russian army. Moreover, the topic of the so-called munition famine also helps Biden to continue to criticize Republicans and accuse them of killing democracy in Ukraine. Many experts are confident that the leaders of Western countries continue to supply a huge amount of ammunition to Ukraine through the so-called secret items of expenditure that are not controlled by the Federal Reserve and Western central banks. Returning to the topic of the Russian massive attack, it is also worth mentioning the missile strike on Kiev. As it turned out, on April 7, Russian missiles hit and destroyed the Aeroprakt airfield in the southwest of Kiev. A training center for UAV operators was located on the territory of this airfield. Moreover, workshops where NATO military specialists produced ultralight and long-range attack drones were also destroyed there. According to Russian sources, as a result of this missile strike, valuable Western equipment was destroyed along with 20 highly qualified military specialists from the armies of NATO countries. In the city of Chernomorsk, Odessa region, Russian missiles hit the port of Ilchevsk. As it turned out, at the time of the missile strike, maritime drones were being loaded on board bulk carriers and container ships in this port. As it turned out, the Ukrainian General Staff and the NATO leadership decided to move the production of maritime drones from the Black Sea coast, and it was at this moment that Russian missiles hit the port. Moreover, at the time of the missile strike, the NASAMS air defense system, which guarded the territory of the port, was also destroyed. As a result of this missile strike, in total, hundreds of maritime drones were destroyed. Moreover, dozens of high-ranking officers of the armed forces of Ukraine were also destroyed, as well as representatives of the British military department, who led the process of evacuating the production of maritime drones from the Black Sea coast.